Hey, Tosha. I'm really loving this forum and the calls, and I'm listening to the Giving and Receiving talks, the course, and I have 2 of your books. One part of this process of offering and surrendering that I notice I'm struggling with is the concept of the highest good. This is another great question. I find that I equate the highest good with struggle and undesirable experiences. And when I look at experiences as they're happening, or when I look back on some challenging times in my life, I can see how they've contributed to who I am. So I understand the concept of the highest good. But when I'm in the moment of asking for something to be for the highest good, I genuinely find myself cringing because it's like I know I'm going to bring misery down on myself. And I know some of the roots of this are from childhood. So how can I reframe the highest good to not mean bad in my life? So do you get what she's saying? It's such a great question because I really think that this happens a lot. Like this idea that, how can I put this? The only way you could, anything involving opening to the divine will or opening to what's, the highest good is going to have to involve enormous pain and duress and suffering. How can I put this? Sometimes it does. That's the thing. Sometimes it involves a certain amount of suffering because old ideas and old beliefs all have to be sort of drilled away. But many times it doesn't mean that. Sometimes opening to the highest good, it's astonishing. You just start to say, let the highest good happen and let me know I'm worthy of receiving the highest good. And sometimes there's nothing to do. You see what I mean? I think when you say it's coming from childhood, you might want to do some Change Me prayers. It sounds like you've read the Change Me prayer book, and you might want to do some Change Me prayers that literally say, help me release the ideas that life is suffering. That's really my most sincere hit, is that this happens for a lot of people, especially in this culture. There's just a belief from the get-go. Maybe it was one of the parents' beliefs that, we're not here this life to be happy. Life is suffering. I think I even heard those words myself growing up. And so, a Change Me prayer that says, let me know. Let me know that I deserve to be happy this life. Now, I would make that different than saying I deserve to get a shopping list of every single thing. You can't tell the divine what happiness means in terms of a list. But you can say, allow me to know I deserve to be happy. Because what starts to happen is a kind of happiness. I don't even know how to say this. It's like a kind of happiness regardless of what's occurring. There's a kind of contentment that starts to come, and that can be a really great thing to pray for. To know that opening to this divine will can bring a kind of joy and contentment separate from the outer events. So that's one piece of it. I also think, a changing prayer that says, allow me to release my attachment to struggle can be another really good one. Because I think for many people, there's just this idea that life is struggle. And for some people, doing a prayer that says, let me relax into receiving and know when I'm here to receive and when I'm here to act. There's times you have to really act and you have to really push. There's times you're only here to receive. It's different day by day. And I think you probably get a sense of that from that course you're hearing, the balancing giving and receiving one. But I think in general, just starting to say, show me when to act, show me when to wait, show me how to receive in the moment what's meant to be. Help me release the idea that all life is struggling and difficulty. I think that would help. You know, part of what it's making me think of is, you know, when people sometimes write in and they'll say something like, I called in the divine about my job, and then I got a job offer and it looked like it was going to be really great, and then all of a sudden it fell apart. Why did that happen to me? I called in the divine. And usually it's like that kind of thing is happening, I found, in order to clear away attachment, in order to clear away to that part that starts grasping on saying it has to be that job. And so like a little teaser will come and it looks like something great. Or same thing with dating, like you like call the divine into your dating life and you meet somebody. It's like, oh, this is it. And you kind of grab on and the universe whisks it away. A lot of times that's part of the hollowing out process that I've talked about before, where the universe is just opening you up to receiving without grasping onto outcome. And what I found is the more you open to that, and you go, okay, this is getting taken away because there's something better coming. Let me just keep opening. Let me just keep receiving. There's a certain amount of suffering about it that starts to fall away because you start to trust that the highest good is going to come. And even if something came and then quickly left, it was just there to help you release attachment. It starts to become like it's just how, personally in my own life, how I see everything now. If something comes and it looks like it's going to be amazing and it just as quickly leaves, I always figure it'll either come back later or it's making room for what wants to come instead, and it's a test about not getting attached to a certain form. And almost always one of those three things is what happens because you just don't bother getting into suffering over it. So